With Deion Sanders literally having to retool the roster for Colorado in 2023, I've been on the phone and the interwebs and the Twitters talking to recruits and other folks around the country about what is Colorado doing and what is Deion Sanders up to, because it seems like this man, it just keeps on going and bringing us surprises. Now, before we get into it, please go ahead, hit that like and that subscribe button. Let me know what you guys are thinking down in the comments below. Where do you guys think this No, let's do this. Where do you guys think the recruiting class, not the transfer recruiting, just the recruiting class for the Colorado Buffaloes ends in this 2023 cycle? Okay, so it's no shock that Deion has to go in here. Deion has to completely retool this roster. And listen, Deion Sanders said he was going to bring a bunch of his guys from Jackson State. So after the Celebration Bowl, we would expect to probably see at least 10 or 11 guys from Jackson State hit the transfer portal. One of those being his son, Shador Sanders. I got it right that time. I promise you guys I've been working on it. We expect Shador Sanders to be one of those guys. Now, I do expect that Deion understands that he has to go upgrade at a lot of these positions, specifically being the offensive line that Shador is going to have protecting him. And here's why. You can't be sacked 36 times in a season. Plus, I believe that's what he was sacked. You can't have him sacked that many times and expect to be able to go out there and put up a winning season, especially with the kind of season that Colorado is going to have to go compete with. You have to go to TCU next season, and then you've got Nebraska at home. This is not going to be an easy schedule for Colorado and Deion Sanders in their first year. But they have no shortage of commitments already, as they already landed the commitment of 3-star offensive tackle Jordan Hall, who was committed to them at Jackson State and since flipped his commitment to Colorado. Now, I did an interview with Jordan Hall, so you guys can go ahead and check that one out. I will put that link down here in the description. But there are a couple guys that I'm expecting Deion to go after. One of those being specifically in the transfer portal. You're expecting him to go after a Johnny Cornelius. And probably he is, as at this moment, the biggest offensive line transfer you can go get in the transfer portal. From Rhode Island, and I think a lot of people expect him to potentially stay on the East Coast, which, I'm going to be honest, that's a very good chance. You're hearing a lot of rumblings about that. But if you're Deion Sanders, you've got to take a shot in the dark and try to be able to go get this guy. Johnny Cornelius is a guy that can come in day one and make an impact at that position. And again, if Shador wants to be successful at the Power 5 level, you have to have guys that are going to be able to get down in the trenches and be able to compete with these other defensive lines across college football. You got to go play Utah and Oregon and Washington next year. Mind you, those teams right there in and of themselves are going to have decent offensive line or defensive lines. We've seen USC, and when Alex Grinch was at Oklahoma, have at least comparable defensive lines that could go out there and cause havoc because they're fast and they can get into the backfield. You got to have the offensive lineman to be able to protect your quarterback, and I think Deion knows that this is going to be something that he needs to take care of. And we'll kind of get into that here in a moment with another offensive lineman. But another transfer offensive lineman that I think they need to go after is Javion Cohen from Alabama. That is another guy that I think is going to be able to make an immediate impact for them on the line on day one. Now, I was talking about somebody else. This one's a recruit. This is a guy that we don't hear a lot from. Again, we'll talk about that one here in a minute. I want to finish talking about the transfer portal because this is where Deion can really kind of get this team going and he could really pick up some steam. You would expect, and I've got my notes here, you would expect that he's going to be able to go land some of these DBs in the portal, and he's not just going to go get, the 3 and low 4-star talent guys. He's going to be able to go out there and get the high 4-star, almost borderline 5-star talent in the portal. Now, I don't think Denver Harris is somebody that you want to go get, mainly because, I from what we saw this past season, there are some character issues. And that's one thing that Deion Sanders has specifically talked about having somebody and going out there and getting guys that, are going to be able to fit his culture that he wants to be able to build. And I just don't think Denver Harris fits that. I think Denver Harris gets a second shot. I just don't know if it's going to be at Colorado. Now, I might get proved completely wrong, but I think you got to start out with probably the number one name on the defensive side of the ball in the portal, and that's Ventrell Cypress. This guy is going to be able to play tremendously for you in that secondary. And it's going to be a battle because you're going to have to play Ohio State for this. And Ohio State's got a good shot. But at 5'11", 190 pounds, Ventrell Cypress is somebody that you expect is going to be able to come in and immediately make an impact for the Colorado defense right away. And again, why would you not want to come play for one of the best defensive backs of all time? Additionally, you could potentially see him going after Al Blades Jr. You could also see him going after J.Q. Hardaway from Cincinnati. J.Q. Hardaway is another great option at the cornerback position. So we'll have to see what kind of moves he wants to make there. I know a lot of people are potentially saying, hey, he's going to bring Travis Hunter. Well, I wouldn't hold your breath on that because Travis Hunter has surprised us before, and he could definitely surprise us again. So don't hold your breath that Travis Hunter is going to leave Jackson State and immediately come to Colorado. There's a chance that he could kind of shop his options and figure out what's best for him. Now, do I think it's going to happen? No, I think he ends up at Colorado. But I've heard some rumblings that might not be the case. He might want to shop his options. Another area that Colorado's going to have to improve on is the defensive line. So we've talked about having to protect yourself from the defensive line, and now we're going to have to talk about the option to be able to go per attack on the defensive line. If you guys haven't already, please go ahead, hit that like and the subscribe button. We're going to take a brief intermittent pause, and then we'll be right back talking about the defensive line. Okay, so as far as what Deion could be doing on the defensive line and who he could be going out there and recruiting, there are a couple options here. And one of them is from my school and my team, Alton Harbor. This man would be a force, and he'd play a good nose guard. So that's an option for you. You've also got the 4-star defensive lineman, really highly recruited 4-star defensive lineman out of high school. And I hope I say this right. Tumsi Adelaide? I might get that wrong. If you guys can help with me with the pronunciation down low. I'm not good with that, guys. But that's another exceptional pick at the defensive line position. He's in the portal. Going to be a highly coveted guy. At the linebacker position, I fully 100% think you should go after Anthony Goodlow from Tulsa. That's a guy that I think, again, comes in. He changes that room. At the safety, I think you go back there. You get Avante Williams. And then, of course, at the running back position, why would you not go get Trey Sanders when you know Trey Sanders wants to go play with you, right? Former 5-star guy from Alabama. He's had a couple injuries, just really hasn't been able to make it on the field. But it would definitely be an upgrade at that position that they have now. At the wide receiver position, I still expect him to land Dante Cephas, even though he is crystal balled to end up at Penn State. I don't think he ends up there. I think you could also go after Dorian Singer. But I think another great option would be the wide receiver who had an exceptional season out at Mizzou, Dominic Levitt. So as far as the transfer portal, that's kind of where I think they're going to go and where I think they're going to land. But let's talk about the recruiting trail here. Because again, some more notes. They've got a pretty big week coming up after the Celebration Bowl. He's got a nice list of unofficials and officials. I'm gonna go through the unofficials real quick. He's got Dylan Edwards 4-star running back, recently decommitted from Notre Dame, is committed to Colorado, so that's noteworthy. The 4-star edge rusher, Blake Purchase. Now, this one is interesting because Blake Purchase specifically said that if Deion ended up at Colorado, he would be willing to relook at that offer that he had for Colorado. And remember, he is from Inglewood, Colorado. It's Inglewood, Colorado, and he's the highest rated recruit in the state of Colorado. Now, that's saying a lot because Colorado doesn't have that many highly rated guys this year, but to be able to go out there and land a guy like Blake Purchase for Colorado, I think that's something that you want to go ahead and start establishing on the recruiting trail. Additionally, you're going to have inside linebacker Logan Brantley, defensive lineman Chase Brankney. You're going to have wide receiver Assad Wasim, edge rusher Taj McCoy, wide receiver Ismail Cece, and then you're going to have on the official visitor list wide receiver Tyrese Chambers, QB Ryan Stubb, inside linebacker Victory Johnson, which, come on, the first name is Victory. Why would you not want that guy on your team? And then Hank Zilinskas, I think I got that right. I'm not going to lie. Some of y'all got some really hard names, and I commend you for being able to go out there and confidently being able to put those out there because there's no way I couldn't do it. But that's a pretty good list for your first official recruiting weekend. Now, I've got a list of recruits here. A list of guys that have been thrown offers by David Kelly, Deion Sanders, and the staff. And they by no means are slowing down. Like, they're going at this full steam ahead, trying to attack some of the biggest of the big names. One of those being, and I think somebody we should all keep our eyes on, hasn't necessarily, which I'm not going to say that. Somebody that we should be keeping our eyes on, Caleb Downs, the 5-star safety. And some of you guys might look at me like I'm insane. And if you think I'm insane, jump down in the comments and tell me why. Here's the deal. Caleb Downs, he's being recruited by Charles Kelly at Alabama, who is now on the Colorado staff as their defensive coordinator. Coach Prime is one of the best defensive backs of all time. We saw what he did with Travis Hunter last year. So you really think that he can't pull this off? Or it's at least not an afterthought? I promise you, this is a recruitment that you want to watch. It could sneakily get you on National Signing Day. A couple other options you really need to watch out for. 5-star wide receiver currently committed to Florida State, Hakeem Williams. You are going to see Deion Sanders go after some of these guys in the state of Florida, especially the ones that are not committed right now. Who's not committed in the state of Florida? 5-star edge rusher Keon Keeley. 5-star edge rusher Damon Wilson. 5-star cornerback Desmond Ricks. 4-star defensive lineman Jordan Hall. 4-star defensive lineman Ruben Bain. You are going to see him attack some of these guys in the home state of Florida and have them come play right up there at Colorado. Now, do I think he lands Keon Keeley, Damon Wilson, and all those guys? Probably not. But the fact that he's going to be able to go in there and immediately try to hit those recruitments right away, it's something interesting. And after what we saw with Travis Hunter, it's something that you have to at least consider and watch to see what he might be able to pull out of his bag. We talked about Desmond Ricks. I have him on this list. Again, why would you not want to go play for one of the best DBs ever? Now, this is a name that you guys are familiar with. I've mentioned it quite a bit. And this is a guy that doesn't post a lot on social media. Again, a guy that's kind of hard to get a filter for where he's going to go. 5-star offensive tackle Caden Proctor. Now, there's been a lot of rumblings that he might be interested in Alabama. So that's one that we have to watch. But this is a need for Colorado. And remember, earlier I was telling you about that offensive. Yeah, this is it. This is the offensive lineman I was talking about. If they're able to land him, he comes in and is instantly a starter for Colorado. And again, it's going to provide Shador a little bit more security and comfortability back there in the backfield. Another guy that we know that he's offered that they're really going to pursue, 5-star defensive lineman Peter Woods, currently committed to Clemson. Again, I know of about 8 to 10 5-stars. I gave you 5 of them here that they're looking at. I think they land probably 2 of them in this class. Just from what I have heard and from what I understand, I think they land probably about 2 of them in this class. On the 4-star route, though, we hear of the cornerback CJ Blocker, who's really been kind of picking up some steam on the recruitment trail, really been picking up a lot of offers, whether that's from USC, Oklahoma, Alabama, Michigan State. He's got an offer from Colorado now. And Colorado's going to be fighting USC for that one last visit that he's supposed to be taking next week to USC. He's got one more OV left. And Colorado's going to be fighting him for it. Because let me tell you what, if you can get the recruit out to Boulder, Colorado, with Deion Sanders there trying to sell you, by the way, it's a pretty good sales pitch. Boulder's really pretty. And listen, they might not have their NIL together now, but they will get it together. Colorado's got money. Remember, rich old people moved to Colorado. So, something to keep your eye on. Another cornerback, 4-star Roderick Pleasant. Think you need to keep your eye out on him. 4-star athlete Malachi Coleman was committed to Nebraska. He decommitted after the whole Mickey Joseph situation. I know that they are going to be pursuing him really hard. And then we talked about the 4-star edge Blake Purchase as well. So that's what I have for you guys in terms of the recruiting trail and the transfer portal for Colorado and what I feel like we should be expecting. I've went through and I've done the class calculator from what I have heard, what we should expect for Colorado. And if they are able to land this class the way we think they are, they could be anywhere between the 250 to 270 range. Which, when you think about it, that's pretty incredible. To thinking that right now they're at 166 at 13 commits. They'll probably end at about 25 plus. So, we got to keep our eyes out. Because Deion Sanders is doing huge things on the transfer portal, retooling this roster for the 2023 season. So go ahead, jump down in the comments below. Let me know. Do you guys think I'm crazy here? Because I see all you guys' comments in the other videos. I know y'all think I'm crazy. So jump in the comments below. Let me know what you guys think.